Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me in another of my wonderful interviews. Now, you may remember the other day I had a fantastic gentleman talking about how the body was all full of electricity, and he was telling us about the electric circuit and grounding ourselves and all of that. And we've had on the show various guests telling us about how life is all about vibrations. And I find this whole thing, this sort of alternative looking at medicine and not at the established way, absolutely fascinating. So I'm very thrilled today to be talking to a lady who practices bioresonance, which is a term that is new to me, but I'm going to learn all about it. Energy to energy, I am told. Everything has an electromagnetic frequency. So I want to find out how, if you're ailing, how this electromagnetic frequency can be manipulated, adapted, changed, whatever it is, so that we can heal ourselves without having to rely on big pharma. We've seen the experience of that in recent years. So with 30 years of experience, let me introduce Helena Fleming. Helena, welcome to the show.
Hi, Richard. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm very well indeed. Thank you for coming along. Now you're in deepest, darkest Ireland, I believe.
Yeah, the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere, which sounds, in this day and age, absolutely the best place to be honest.
Yeah, it's beautiful here. Although that's after 20 years in England.
Oh, yeah, well, there you go. I can understand that, the way it's all going at the moment. So, bioresonance, that's it's a lovely word. I don't really know, bio being the biology of presumably the human body, and resonance is things that resonate. Is that, am I anywhere close as a complete
You are.
rank amateur?
You are. Everything in the universe has a unique electromagnetic signature. And the law of resonance, not a theory, laws are absolute. Theories change, laws don't, right?
Right.
We are constantly interacting with the electromagnetic signatures of all sorts of things, internal and external. Everything has a unique electromagnetic signature. So when your body has a choice between resonating with a damaging or a beneficial frequency, it will always choose to resonate with the beneficial one.
Right. Okay. So you're...
How I work is about finding out what damaging frequencies your body is interacting with and asking it what beneficial frequencies it would like to deal with those problems.
Wow. Okay. So that, I mean, it sounds very simple that you're sort of changing one frequency for another and then correcting. But I guess getting there and understanding all of this can be, certainly for a lay audience, quite mind-boggling, because we're so used to that process of taking little white pills in boxes or capsules and that's the only way and the best ways we're told to sort of fix ourselves. So do take us through this then.
Well, the little white pills that we're used to getting, pharmaceuticals that we're used to getting, really deal with symptoms.
Right,
Symptoms
yes.
are your body's way of expressing, pushing out, expressing dis-ease. The
Yes.
last thing that will happen to you is a symptom. Something goes awry with the energy or resonance of your organs way before you'll see chemical, physical change. Right? So how I work is going a step further back. You know, working with symptoms can appear to be effective. The analogy I often use with patients is if you're driving along the road in your car and your check engine light flashes, taking a pharmaceutical is like removing the check engine light.
Right. It's not getting rid of the problem.
The symptom is not your problem. The check engine light is not your problem. The symptom and the check engine light are both telling you of a deeper issue that needs to be addressed. The pharmaceutical will just take out the check engine light. I'm going to pop the bonnet and have a good old poke around in your engine.
Right. Okay. So I mean, for us, when you get a problem, a pain in the back or a chest pain, whatever it might be, headache, migraines and things like that, that's us knowing there's something wrong. But presumably we could be going along and have no idea for quite some time that there's damage, and it's not until that symptom expresses itself that we go, oh, I've got this. And then rather than just going, I need a pill to get rid of that lower back problem, I need to be thinking, what is the cause of that and how much damage I've already done?
Exactly. The pill will not get rid of the problem. It might
Yeah.
numb it or mask it, but
Yes.
it's not where it's coming from. The pain is an end result. It's not
Right.
right. So I'm going further back. I'm going deeper in to see I'm looking around in the engine to see what's causing that problem.
So tell me about the electromagnetism then, and how that is working. You said we have a unique signature. Is that sort of like one for the whole body, including all the organs and everything else, or do all the different organs contribute to the one unique, like I suppose like all the lines on your fingers that come to make an overall fingerprint, but all of those different little indentations, lines, whatever you call them, they're all part and parcel, and without one of them your signature would change.
Yeah, each organ within your body has a unique electromagnetic or electrical capacitance.
Right.
So in simpler terms, a healthy human heart will allow electricity to pass through it at a specific speed. If your heart's weak, the electricity will go through slower, and if it's inflamed, it'll go through faster. So the first part of my test is just, and it's super quick, is just finding out what organs are balanced, what are inflamed, and what are weak.
And so how do you do that then?
Well, it'll probably be easier to show you, but you can come and see me and hold electrodes, but really my whole practice is based in the UK and America. So everybody sends me hair samples. So I use the hair samples to find out what's going, I will work with them in a Zoom. We'll do it together live.
Oh,
so
right.
They can
Okay.
Yeah.
So that might be difficult for me at this
Well, no,
stage.
you can use fingernails.
Oh, right, okay.
And
I've got
other
fingernails.
bodily hair, which I'd rather not receive in the
Yes.
perfectly frank.
On the palms of my hands, there's a lot of hair.
Hair,
It says I'm completely mad, I think.
I've got a
But
really
yes.
good remedy for hairy hands.
Oh, have you? No, I don't actually have any hair on mine. But yes, I mean on the backs of the hands, and there's so you don't need much then to go by.
No. Literally a few strands of hair is enough. And
Right.
I'm not testing the chemistry of your hair. It's not chemistry
No.
I'm using to test. I'm using physics. So I'm connecting to your hair sample is telling me what's going on in you right now.
Wow, just from that single hair, or a couple of strands.
Yeah.
So you connect that up to some machine of some description.
Yeah.
And
A
then that will
bioresonance machine.
Right, there we go. That sounds a sensible machine, doesn't it? And then that will give you a whole spectrum of readouts that you can then make these diagnoses from.
Well, yeah, the first part of the test is simple pass fail. So your heart, lungs, liver, everything, is it balanced, good, or inflamed or weak? So the second part of the test is sending a load of electromagnetic signatures to you through your hair, and your body's that determines what's causing you a problem. That's how I find out what's causing these problems, right?
Right.
And the third part of the test is sending a lot of electromagnetic frequencies to you through your hair, and your body is choosing what it needs to resolve them.
So what I don't understand, you've got the hair at your practice, and then you're putting the charge into the hair. How does that get to me several hundred miles away?
Einstein was so flummoxed by it that he called it spooky action at a distance.
I love it. Yeah, spooky.
It's how
action.
objects seemingly separated by vast distances have an instant effect on each other. Instant.
Now I've seen that with water. I've seen it where. I've seen it with blood. I've seen it with blood where you can affect that by taking, say, structured water.
Yeah.
You can take it, and the blood sample that was taken previously and is under the microscope.
Yeah.
Although the patient is sitting, feet away,
Yeah.
the sample, which is what we would think of as separate, starts to change.
Yeah.
So right, okay. So I can accept what you're saying. It doesn't say. I mean, it sounds spooky, but It really isn't. Then that's quite amazing. So you're working with this little hair,
Mm.
and not the great lump or whatever somewhere else. No disrespect to anybody, and so you can just. So there's no need to travel. I mean, this is amazing.
There's also no need to send me more than one hair sample.
Wow.
I've been using the same hair samples on, I'm thinking, one particular family in Germany for probably 12, 13 years now. And all the new stuff comes up. And the hair samples date back to
That,
2013.
that now this is. I mean, it is mind blowing. So they. I mean, in some ways, a bit creepy. Although hair samples are much better than, say, send me your finger and I can do it all with your finger. It's like, yeah, okay. But you've got somewhere drawers of all sorts of different people's hairs, and you go, right, okay, I'm going to work with Mr. Smith today, and out comes Mr. Smith's hair,
Yeah.
and so in a way, I mean, at a distance, if you randomly pulled out one of the hairs, you could go, "Oh, Mrs. Jones is actually suffering from this, that, and the other," because just by examining her hair, you could test on her physical ability at any time. Should you?
If I had the time of day to
Yes, you had
actually.
the time of day and all of that, and the ethics, I suppose,
Yeah.
that goes with it all, and all of that. So this is incredible, and so you're sending electromagnetic frequencies to correct the physique of the other person who is either online with you at the time or is incapacitated, or perhaps even somebody in a coma or something. It wouldn't.
I have done work with people who are beyond consciousness very effectively, and people close
Wow.
to death very effectively.
So to just tell us what goes on then in what I mean, just so that I know you were going to show us some stuff. Shall we have a look at?
Yeah. Now, mostly what happens is I will send based on, so as I'm testing you, I'm finding out what's causing the problems and what will resolve them. So as I'm testing, I'm also building a unique remedy for you. Nobody gets the same remedy. I don't deal in disease names. They're irrelevant to me. We all express dis-ease in our own unique way, right?
Yes.
So the machine we'll be building this remedy, and the machine will determine how long this remedy needs to be taken for. So I generally will send out a remedy in the post then to people. Some of my patients who I guess are more comfortable with the physics of it don't tell me not to bother sending the remedy. They're in tune that they feel the remedy's working through the consultation that I have with them. But most people, I guess, medicine is a tablet. That's what they're familiar with. And
Yes.
so I
Yes.
will send out, if the machine says 2 a day for 6 weeks, I'll send out that many tablets to them, and then we'll reschedule to catch up after that remedy.
And are these tablets effectively placebos?
Well, no, they're homeopathic, I guess, but they work in a homeopathic way. So they are sucrose. They are sucrose pills.
Right.
That I would put a little alcohol on, so it's the water that's carrying the memory of the remedy.
Oh, I see. Right. Oh, okay. Yes.
Right.
Oh, got it.
So if you needed to take a remedy twice a day for 6 weeks, and the machine would determine that, then I will send you out that many tablets. And then when I see you again after 6 weeks, we'll retest the last remedy to see what's done its job. And anything you still need from that, we'll bring forward into another remedy. So it's a process of peeling back layers to where it all started.
Right.
So that varies, I would give both arms and legs to be able to tell people exactly how long it's going to take them to get better, but we're all different.
Yes, of course.
So rule of thumb, animals and babies are super quick. They haven't been along here. They haven't built up much toxicity. They haven't got all this emotional rubbish going on, right? So they're really quick. So the younger you are, the quicker you'll get better. The more pharmaceuticals involved, the longer it'll take. One of the toughest part of my jobs is undoing damage of the previous,
Yeah.
and the longer you've been sick, the longer it will take. So a kind of rough rule of thumb is for every month or every year you've been ill, it takes a month to get better. But I've seen it go a lot quicker, and I've also seen it going a lot slower.
And does the patient's understanding and or acceptance of the idea speeded up, if they're sort of, get exactly how it works, and they're not sort of going, oh, I don't know, but I'll give it a whirl, but I'm a bit dubious. If there's sort of elements of doubt in there, will that slow it down, or does the patient's attitude of mind have no...
I don't really think it matters.
Right.
Back in the day when I first started working with this machine, and I wanted to get the word out there, so I was going to a few local network meetings in Surrey, in Dorking, and one of the ones I went to, there was a physicist, and honestly, he was just short of spitting at me every time I met him. He thought it was utter nonsense what I do,
Right.
And how this group worked was every week one member would get a chance to explain about what they do and how it works. So it was my turn. So I explained how it works, and then I asked for a volunteer. I would always keep the fairly limited tests because I don't want to expose a load of deeply personal stuff. But of course, this guy's hand went up, of course. So he came and it sat, and I did a really surface, superficial test on him, and then I said to him, I'll just make a remedy for you. He said, oh, don't worry about it. And I said, I don't tell people what their problems are and not give them the solution. So please take a remedy. So the next week we came in and he stood up. I couldn't believe it. He said, not only did she find everything that was wrong with me, but it's working. This remedy's working.
Wow.
So that kind of, honestly, generally, a lot of my patients are women.
Right.
And a lot of the time, a woman would send her husband to me, and I'd sit there and go, you've been sent to see the witch doctor by your missus, haven't you? And I will say to them, I'll explain to them, what I'm doing is literally putting a bit of software. It's like putting a bit of software on a CD. That's what I'm doing. And it's almost like a fix for your unique operating system. And it doesn't matter whether you believe in it or not, it'll still work.
Gosh.
But the people who are in tune with it and understand it, it's very subtle but dramatic. I know that sounds contradictory, but I take very detailed notes when I'm seeing people because we are programmed to forget how sick we were,
Right, yes.
I remember one woman come to see me in Surrey for her second visit, and I said, how are you? How did you get on with your remedy? And she said, no difference. And I said, oh, really? How about your eyes? And she said, what do you mean? And I said, last time you were here, you had a patch over one eye and you had to get your husband to drive because he couldn't see. And she said, oh, yeah, that's better. And I said, and your hip? She said, yeah, that's better too. So we literally forget how sick we were. And because my remedies work in tune with your body, all they're doing is giving your body the information it needs to heal itself. Our bodies want to heal themselves.
Yes.
Sometimes they can't and need a bit of help. So all my remedies are doing are giving your body the information it needs to do the job itself. So that can be quite subtle. We really forget how painful things are. No woman would have more than one child if we remembered pain in any way.
Well, exactly. Oh, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So I do take detailed notes, but the people who are more understanding and have used other alternative medicine in the past, they can relate. They pick up the subtleties as they're happening. They notice it more. They don't have to be reminded, well, actually, you were 10 out of 10 bad when I saw you last, and now you're saying you're 2 out of 10 bad.
Yes. Yeah.
So it depends.
Right, absolutely. So it depends on So well, it sounds fascinating. Now you said you had some stuff. You were going to sort of show us a dummy patient, I think.
Yeah, I have set up an other as a patient,
other,
so I can show
lady.
You. It's an awful lot easier. Yeah, it is a lady. It's an awful lot easier for me to show than tell. It can be quite a lot to take in. So I'll just share the screen with you.
Okay, and we will work out how to do that here. Oh yes, here we go.
You see it?
Yes, I've got that there.
Okay, so I've just randomly taken a hair sample of one of my patients, and I'm called to protect her anonymity. I'm calling her an other.
Brilliant.
So you can see here all these tests I have available to me. So hormones, toxic stressors, I call that the 21st century itis test. That will pick up heavy metals, environmental chemicals, damage from our technology, etc., etc. Yep.
Before you go on, just as a matter of interest, are you seeing an increase in problems in that area of people having problems with heavy metal and all these toxins?
Um, I see patterns with things. At the moment, for some reason, I'm seeing a lot of people coming up. PNA is coming up in their test results, and that's a synthetic kind of. It's a sort of a precursor to CRISPR, if you've heard it. It's gene editing stuff.
Oh,
I don't know
really?
where that's coming from, but so I see phases. I see things coming in and out. I saw no sky spraying stuff coming up for a long time, but when what happened in 2020 kicked off, I saw loads of that coming up.
Oh, really? That's very interesting.
Um, but I mean, I've been doing this, so I've been working in this field for nearly 30 years, but I've been working with this technology since 2011. And I think the world, there was a lot, the toxicity was already there, you know. But
Yes.
certainly when I got this machine at first, it set me on a huge learning curve to discover what all these chemicals were. And I would say I pick up damage from pesticides and herbicides and technology in about 80% of the people I test.
That's, yeah. And well, I think that resonates with what the audience kind of would expect from what we've been hearing about the poisoning of our foods and our water, particularly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what other things have you got on your list there?
So nosodes, that would be infections, parasites, molds, metabolic digestive, food allergies, environmental sensitivity. So the difference between the environmental and the toxic is the toxic stressors tend to be all the human stuff, the man-made stuff, whereas
Right.
environmental sensitivity would include pollens and animal hairs and things like that.
Oh, okay.
So you can look at your back, your skull, your jaw, teeth, nutrition. I use a lot of the electromagnetic frequency of pharmaceuticals to undo the damage, to teach your body how to undo the damage of them. I've got, look,
Wow.
dogs,
Yeah.
dogs,
Oh, see.
cats,
Yeah. So,
horses.
oh,
Yeah.
right. So you can turn into a veterinary.
Yeah, as a homeopath, it's illegal for me to treat animals unless I'm a qualified vet. As a human, you don't have to be qualified anything for some reason.
Right.
But there ain't no laws around bioresonance yet. So yeah, I do treat it, and they're a pleasure to treat. I love treating young babies and animals in that they kind of prove that it's not placebo. You know, they don't even know they're
Yeah.
getting a remedy, right?
No,
And
that's true.
they're
Yeah, of
getting
course.
better. So
Yeah.
and
And
they're simple and fast. They respond very quickly to remedies. So it's yeah, it's
so
nice and
to
easy.
just on that note, for the sake of those who have perhaps domestic animals and are wary of some of the foods that you buy in the supermarkets and stuff, are you seeing a lot of damage from those supermarket?
Huge,
Right.
huge. My own pets get raw fed only.
Right.
And see an
Yeah.
awful lot of damage from additives that really should not. I mean, aspartame comes up a lot. There's aspartame. What are they doing putting that in animal
Yes.
food? You know, sweeteners. A
Right.
lot of damage from soy, all sorts of fillers, and yeah, stuff that really is not part of a natural diet of a dog or a cat or a horse. Well,
Yeah.
horses are less so. But yeah, that is my number one rule for animals: raw food, biologically
Yeah.
appropriate raw feeding. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. So you've got a numerous number of things. So
Yeah,
you do your first general um, test on the overall thing,
yeah,
which then highlights the areas of damage or
yeah. I mean,
attention.
less is more with these remedies. I don't want to test so much that there's such a big remedy that it's too much for your being to process. So
Mm.
I guess if you were listening to a tune being played by a band, if that tune was being played by thousands of instruments, it would just be noise. You couldn't make anything out, right? So
Right.
less is more. So I always start with this comprehensive analysis. And often that's enough. But if it's not, then I have all these other tests to go to
Right.
if we need to. So I always start off with the comprehensive analysis and this individual applications, which gives me information about the type and dosage. So this is super quick. I can't possibly explain this as it's happening, but we will go through it.
Okay.
So the first part of this test is a simple pass-fail to see what state your various organs are in. So it will tell me what's inflamed, what's weak, and what's healthy.
Mm.
So the second part of the test is sending a load of electromagnetic signatures to you via your hair to find out what's causing those problems. And the third part of the test is sending a load of electromagnetic frequencies to you through your hair, and you're choosing what you need to resolve those problems. So every remedy is totally unique.
And when you say you're choosing, are you actively or your body is
Your
choosing?
body is through
Yeah.
the technology. Yeah, I'm literally connecting electromagnetic energy to electromagnetic energy to find the
Absolutely
sweet
fascinating.
spot.
Yeah.
So it's easier to see than a tell.
Mm.
So I guess I'll go ahead and we'll see what comes up here. Oh gosh, this person needs a remedy. So it's already found out what's good, what's inflamed, what's weak. Now it's finding out what's causing these problems, which will be in this column called filter test. And everything in the balancing item column is what your body is choosing it needs to resolve these problems. So your remedy then is a combination of everything in the balancing item list.
Right. Would you say it would be rare to get somebody who sends you a hair that there's nothing at all wrong with them? I mean, do
It's
you think
only
that?
ever happened. Listen, our bodies are always interacting and adapting to internal and external stimuli. Okay.
Yes.
Once on one occasion, I tested somebody who came up completely clear, and that was my ex-husband. It's just after I got the machine, and I was testing him 10, 15 times a day just to learn how to use this thing. And
Yes.
at one point, the test results showed nothing out of balance, and I remembered looking at him and saying, God, I think you're dead. So, but
I
you
bet.
can see patterns, I
Yes.
mean, and you can
Yes.
see I can tell by how much inflammation or how much weakness, how much of a problem that is. So, you know, I'm always wanting people to get, I mean, my three keywords, any homeopath's three keywords are gently, permanently, effectively. I want people to get better as quickly as they can.
Yes.
But a lot of stuff will come up in these test results that enables them to make changes that they need. I can throw every remedy at you, but if you keep doing stuff that's making you sick, it's going nowhere, right?
So at some point, then you need to work out. You've given them the remedy, and the body is choosing what it needs and does what it does. But I guess the individual needs to be told that the thing that's likely to be causing that is your you're getting up, you're not having enough sleep, or you're eating the wrong kind of food, or you're constantly banging your head against the wall for some reason, whatever it is,
Yeah.
so that
Well, but
they know what to stop doing or
yeah,
to reduce.
yeah. I mean, the machine will be really specific about exactly what it is they need to work on. I mean,
Oh, I see. Right. Okay.
the machine will tell us. It's not
Yeah.
me just standing back and going, you need to eat a healthier diet.
Yes.
It will specifically tell us what needs to be done. And I do say to patients, the more you follow the advice and the information that we find, the less money you'll have to give me, the quicker you'll get better, right?
I'm assuming that one of these machines is quite an investment, that people couldn't just buy one themselves and just constantly check themselves.
No. First of all, yeah. So it was brought to my attention a long time ago. I was working in a yoga center in Reigate, and the guy who owned the yoga center kept banging on about bioresonance. And in my head, I was going, I'm a homeopath, I'm not interested. But literally, to shut him up, I went and investigated some of these machines and wasn't impressed. And then a friend of mine sent me an email that they were doing a demo of this one day in Marble Arch. And I remember it clearly. It was the 20th of June. It was a beautiful day. And I remember thinking, oh, do I want to schlep up to London now to see this damn machine, or do I want to lie in the garden getting some sun? And
Yeah.
it literally was like something tapped me on the shoulder and said, go. And I
Right.
saw it and I was, oh my God, this is the future. I have to have one. And I got home and I said to my ex-husband, when he arrived home, I laughed and said, you'll never guess what I've done. And he said, what? And I said, I've applied for a bank loan. And he laughed and I laughed and I got the bank loan.
Right.
But
Bloody
yeah,
hell.
it's not, it's, they are expensive and they're tools, So,
Yes.
you
And you've
know,
got to know how to work it, of course,
give
and
give
understand. Yeah.
give me a hammer and give a master carpenter a hammer and see what the end results are.
Yeah.
So I know what to ask this. I know how to read this information. It will tell. Let's have a look.
So
So
what? Yeah. So tell us what we've got here with this
poor
poorly
human
patient.
being. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that kind of bluey green color there, that's
Mm.
good. That's in balance,
Right.
right? And that is a number 50 is the baseline number there. So anything over 50 and red is inflamed. And the higher it is over 50, the more inflamed it is. And anything below 50 and yellow is weak. The lower it is, the weaker it is.
Mm.
People tend to obsess on the red. I guess they've got this
They always think red for
brainwash,
danger.
red, danger, stop. But
Yeah.
actually, the red is telling me there's something going on, but your body is trying to do something about it. Your body's standard response to any challenge like that is inflammation, is to send heat and nutrients and various substances to the site to try and
Mm.
resolve the problem. So the reds are telling me there's a problem, but your body's trying to do something about it. Whereas the
Mm.
yellows are telling me that that system or organ is not optimal, it's weak. So they
Right.
would be
And
of more concern to me.
yes, because they're sort of failing.
Yeah. So pre-test is where we were when we started this column here. So this person's got a pretty weak appendix, slightly weak arteries and veins, quite inflamed central nervous system, quite weak colon, quite weak connective tissue. Now, when I'm in a consultation with someone, it takes around an hour for a first consultation. So I want to ask them about their entire health history and why they're coming to me and
Mm.
how they're experiencing their disease. So connective tissue could be anywhere in your body, but generally I'll be able to say, that's the knee you've told me about, or that's your
Right.
back, right? Kidneys slightly inflamed. I'm not worried about that. That could be the bottle of wine you had last night, you know.
Yeah.
Maxillary sinus quite inflamed. Pancreas very weak. So definitely too much wine going on here, I'd say.
Yeah. And
Parathyroid
and
quite.
do you see? I imagine you see that quite a lot.
See what?
The too much wine going on here.
Yeah. I used to, when I started doing this, people I'm seeing now are actually much more conscious and awake, and they're not the sort of people who generally who. But I do have tough conversations sometimes with people.
Yeah.
Sugar is a huge addiction.
Well,
Huge addiction.
absolutely. Yes. Yes. And it's in everything.
Yeah, exactly. So if you really want me to perform a magic trick on you, if you're slugging back 2 bottles of wine every night,
Yeah.
I
Can there be?
I would
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to take your money. I
No.
just wouldn't. We're not going to go anywhere. So that's what I'm saying. If you keep doing this, is wonderful. You might be doing things that are causing you damage that you are not aware of. So this
Yes.
testing can show those things, and you can now take action. You know
Yeah.
especially a lot of people will, take supplements that they've read about that they think might be good for them, but they don't actually know that that particular supplement is going to help them. So I can find that out. And, if there's anything, for example, if they're taking prescription medication, I can test that on them to find out whether it's causing them damage, whether their body seems to be dealing with it, or whether it's actually helpful.
Right.
So, but yeah, the more effort they put into it, the quicker we're going to get where we want to go. So yeah, there's a sinus issue here for sure. Maxillary sinuses are very inflamed, and sphenoid and ethmoid. So, this could be somebody who struggles with hay fever every year, or it could be a time of year thing. that they're dealing with something respiratory. Spleen, look, yeah, it's time of year. Spleen is a bit inflamed. Your spleen has a lot to do with dealing with infection. It will clear up dead red blood cells after an infection. It puts hemo and globin together. So the
Yes.
fact that the pattern I'm seeing here is the spleen and the sinuses are telling me this person's probably trying to fight a time of year bug off.
Right.
And their thyroid is very inflamed, but not weak. So you can see here, post-test is where things are now. So the machine has found what will start addressing the kidney problem,
Yeah.
the sinuses and the spleen, but this often happens. The parathyroid, which is about distribution of calcium through your body, that's gone from being weak to being overactive. It's kind of like I've set off an alarm and the parathyroid's overactive now, right? So I have to do some more work to bring that back into balance, which doesn't take long. So let's do that. So arteries and veins, same, sorry. Arteries and veins, connective tissue, axillary sinus, and parathyroid. So then I can go in here, and what I'm going to do here is ask. So it's run through a lot of standard frequencies that will help a lot of people with these problems, but it doesn't work for everyone. So now I'm going to ask their body to choose something from a bigger range of frequencies. So it's scanning through all of those lists now, and that their body is choosing the things it wants to address that problem.
Right. So just to be clear, as you're doing all of this, and you've got the machine connected to the hair, this is connecting to the person several hundred miles away, wherever, in real time as you're doing this, and you're getting feedback from the person as you're doing. So as you just said there now, so the body is connected to you through the spooky science of the technology.
Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. We now call it quantum entanglement. But when it was first observed, when he was alive, he was so knocked sideways by the whole how very distant objects have an instant effect on each other.
That is,
He called it spooky action at a distance. Those of your viewers who are familiar with Spooky 2 Rife machines, that they're called spooky after that quote by Einstein.
Oh, right. How interesting. So so in other words, it's as if the patient is with you and you're doing these tests, and incredibly at amazing speed.
Yeah, it's super quick. I'm not going to go through fixing everything here, but we'll just see now whether what I did for the arteries and veins actually worked. So actually, no, I need to do the other things quickly. It won't take long. So I'm just going to use abbreviations for the sake of speed.
Yeah. So whilst you're doing that, let me ask you a question which I feel the audience will be interested to know. We, as everybody will be aware, went through a mass intervention with certain pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
Let's put it like that, in such huge numbers that the majority have something inside them. Are you seeing from patients who've admitted that they've had this substance additional problems as a result?
Well, not a lot of people who come to me anymore are the sort of people who would have gone there, to be honest.
Right. That's interesting.
But I do see quite a bit. The jury was out for me as to whether this new technology sheds the way the traditional ones do. Yes. But I can definitely see that they do. I see kind of residual damage. Very specifically, it will come up with the name of it in the test results. And I find that actually quite easy to... But early doors, I remember one patient coming to me in England, and he didn't say anything. And I was so struck by it that I didn't even filter myself at all. I could see his test results. He'd been coming to me for quite a while. And I just said to him, "You've had the Oxford, haven't you?" And he went bright red and said, "Yeah." Because I could see the difference. So it would be kidney liver from that one. And it would be a lot brain, lungs, kidney, liver from the American one.
Right. That's
So
fascinating.
your answer is, yeah. I mean, and I did have some patients who took it under duress, you know.
Yes, of course.
Um,
As indeed my daughter did.
so, and you know, I also saw a lot of stuff coming out around that time with protocols to undo the damage, and I was thinking, well, let's down the line. There's no longevity. There's no proof that this protocol is going to work. You know, I have proven track record with the traditional ones.
Right.
But there's no way I was going to say, yeah, I can undo all that damage, no problem. It's going to take time to see, but so far, so good.
Brilliant. Oh, well, that's very encouraging.
Yeah.
So with our patient, So with our patient now, how has she?
I am just going to tell you now.
Yeah. Sorry, I distracted you a little
Yeah,
bit
no
there.
problem. It's okay.
Did you find many? I mean, I guess because of what you do and the people who know what you do, they come to you because of what you do. You're not seeing those people who are skeptical about the whole thing.
Well, when I started, it's funny how my practice. I mean, I was a classical homeopath before I started doing this, so I've been kind of in
Yeah.
this field for nearly 30 years, but I've been working in this way since 2011. And when I started, I was getting a lot of people who were desperate, who'd taken all the medicine, they'd had all the tests and weren't getting any
Yes.
better. And that was tough because they kind of were coming to me out of desperation, not because
Yeah.
they knew it was a good way forward. So that's a lot of education that is part of the consultation.
Yes.
A lot of almost convince me attitude from the patients, which isn't always the best way to work with
No. No.
somebody.
Of course. So now,
But
presumably,
the biggest trouble for me was undoing the damage of all the previous
yes,
pharmaceuticals
because
they'd taken.
if it's last resort, you've got
Yeah,
a lot to do. Whereas now there's less. Presumably, they're in tune with you, and they say, "Oh, can I just, my yearly checkup or whatever it is?"
yeah,
And you go, "Yeah, by the way, this, and this," and it's quite simple. Then I imagine.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I would think probably 90% of my patients kind of get it now.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Um,
And this is where we're going, isn't it? I mean,
I hope so.
ultimately, I think more and more people will start to are looking at alternative ways because blatantly, we've all been duped into something, or a lot of people have, not all of us, but on so many different things, and the fact that so let me ask you, when you do your remedies, does it come with a piece of paper about a foot long in tiny print with all the side effects that might happen, including death?
No,
That you
there
get
are none. All
right.
my remedies are, I'm not introducing any
Exactly.
non-natural chemical into your body
Yes.
I am all, it's literally like a piece of software for your unique operating system.
Exactly. Yes.
It's,
That's what I thought you were going to say, as opposed to say a paracetamol, which still comes with all these, potential side effects. So, as I
and
think
it's
people,
not getting to the root of the problem.
and
Like,
as you said before, yeah, exactly. So
I
that our
mean,
patient there looks a lot healthier now.
well, let's have a look. So now I'm going to click post test to see if what I've just done has actually worked. So it's worked on everything but that sinus. So at this
Right.
point, I would go in and I'd look at well, I can ask the machine. I can ask the machine to do a non-linear test, which would suggest other tests that are appropriate. So it wants me to look at hormones. It wants me to look at environmental sensitivities, nutrition, and some rife frequencies.
Right. Amazing.
So then at this moment in time, so let me give you the overview. So these are the things that are wrong with the person in the pre-test when we started. This
Yes.
is where we are now in the
That,
post-test. So the
and there's no
maxillaries,
yellows.
right? So these are the issues that are causing those problems. And these are pretty much everything in here is going into your remedy. These are what your body has chosen. It wants to resolve those problems. And it
Right.
wants it for 6 weeks.
So how does that work? Do you have to switch the machine on every week and do it, or does it happen by?
No. So I would put that information onto a remedy for you and make it on my machine, and you will get a little package of pills in the post, which you will
Right.
take for 6 weeks, and then after that 6 weeks, we'll have a follow up. So one of the first things I'll do is retest this remedy, find out
Yeah.
what's done its job and what you still need, and anything you still need from the first one, we'll bring forward into the next remedy. So together with the patient's experience, personal experience of the remedy and what the machine tells us,
Yeah.
then it's a process of peeling back the layers to where it all started. So the analogy I often use with patients is if you're driving along the road and your check engine light flashes, the check engine light isn't the problem. It's a symptom of a deeper problem, right?
Yes.
If you go to your GP, he'll take the check engine light bulb out.
Yeah. Can
It's
we go
dealing
back
with
to?
end results. It's dealing with symptoms. I'm going to pop the bonnet and have a good old poke around and see what's actually causing that check engine light to come on. So that's what I'm aiming at, that to get
Yes.
to the root cause rather than the end result of your dis-ease. Right?
Absolutely. Can we go back to seeing you now?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. There we go. That was, I mean, that's absolute. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, people will be sitting there completely gobsmacked, I imagine, as indeed I am, at the sort of very futuristic Star Trek style, the health that it can work. But you've explained it so clearly, and you've shown us the process. And I mean, I suppose on one level, I'm sort of amazed, as Einstein was, at this. The fact that you can do it from a hair, and the hair, which is, we always think of a hair as once it's gone, it's it's already dead material, and yet it's updating as we continue.
Yeah, I only ever need one hair sample from. I mean,
Right,
I've got
and it
patients,
doesn't degrade. I mean, the hair doesn't die and wither up and flop away.
No, not at all. I've been using the same hair samples with multiple patients around the world for years and years and years, and the new stuff keeps coming up. So when I moved back to England, I had
Yes.
one patient who was coming to me regularly at the time who said, I'm not sure about this hair sample stuff at all, Helena. So she gave me a hair sample in August. I moved back in September, and her next appointment was the following March. And she immediately said, I'm not sure how a hair sample I gave you back last August is going to show you anything about what's happening for me now, Helena. And I tried to explain it to her, and I just said, if you can't get your head around it, it's fine. Just keep sending me another hair sample. And she said, well, we'll go with it for today and see what happens. So she just arrived back from a trip to Australia, and the first thing that popped up in her results was jet lag.
That's amazing.
So she was, okay, I'm convinced.
Yeah,
I'm convinced.
Okay, so let me ask you this then, because if somebody dies, can you tell if they are now deceased?
I've never tried that, actually, Richard. I'm
Because
going to be raiding the graveyards of the village tonight, digging up bodies to put back.
No, but what went through my mind is that
I've never tried
people
that,
die,
and I wouldn't.
and perhaps sometimes they wonder what the patient, if my son died, for example, and the doctors weren't clear, or there was some mystery about it, it would be great to be able to say, well, okay, I want to take clippings of his hair, keep those, come to somebody like you and say, what was his state of his body at the moment of death?
Well, I can't answer that. I've never tried it. But
Right.
what I am doing is trying to restore health to somebody.
Yes. No, I mean, I'm not asking you to bring him back from the dead.
Yeah,
or
I
anything.
know. But what I would do as well is actually I would, because there's a massive database of things in this machine. But if there's something that isn't in there, I can add the signature of anything to the machine really quickly. So I would probably ask you to send me the hair sample, and I would imprint the frequency of your son on a remedy or a piece of crystal. So you would have that resonance. So
Right.
you would have that connection. So I'd actually, probably want to treat your grief rather than, you
Yes.
know,
So, but let me put it another way. Say you've got a family, as I have, with 3 kids, and they've all taken a certain substance, which I think ill-advised to do. But you could persuade them to say, "Give me a bit of your hair," and permission. Presumably, you'd
yeah,
need
I
permission.
would not, never, ever. It's just breaches my ethics. I would not treat
Yes.
somebody without their permission.
Absolutely, but one could say, I just want to keep an eye on your, because the kids are, all over the place. I mean, my daughter is in New Zealand, but if I was to say, look, I just, I'll pay for it, I'll look after it, but every 6 months or every 2 years, whatever it is, I just want to just check that everything's all right with you because I don't get to see you. And they've signed consent forms and blah blah blah. That's a possibility. I mean,
Yeah,
that
it
as
is.
a parent, that sort of thing would be lovely to be able to know. Oh, and just ring up and say, oh, by the way, I just think you should just go and check your liver or check such, and because
Yeah, the problem with that is you're now going to be worried when I find problems because they're not getting the solution from me. And the, I mean, 70% of people who go for blood tests, they reckon, are told there's nothing wrong with you, your blood test results are fine. They're not
yes,
all imagining they're ill. The blood tests are actually quite primitive. I can't tell you the amount of patients who say, no, doctor, there is something wrong with me. And
right,
they will get referred to multiple specialists. But the last specialist they'll get referred to always is the psychiatrist. Because if the test doesn't show it, they think it's all in your head. But the
and they
tests are
said
so primitive that I will
yes,
find an imbalance with, for example, with a liver. If you were going for a liver test, I would tell you don't take milk thistle tincture because that will boost your liver function, and that will be interpreted by a blood test as, oh, danger, your liver's overactive, right?
right, yeah.
So,
So, and mistakes must be made as well. You go for a blood test and for whatever reason,
well, blood
honest.
tests are also one size fits all. So they'll say, for example, with osteoporosis, millions and millions of women around the world woke up with osteoporosis one day because about 10 years ago, they decided to set the bone density under which you get a diagnosis for osteoporosis. And they took the bone density of a male athlete in his 20s. So anybody with a bone density lower than that is now osteoporosis,
Right.
which doesn't make any sense.
Well,
So all those
unless of
tests
course
are
there was a
one size
commercial
fits
interest to sell
all.
more pills. He says,
Yeah, people
I couldn't
forget.
possibly. Yeah.
I mean, back in the day in China, you would pay your doctor when you were healthy and stop paying them when you were sick. So the
Right.
doctor was motivated to keep their
To
patients
keep them
healthy.
healthy. Yeah, that's a good
In our
idea, isn't it?
system, ain't no one making money unless they're sick people. So
Yes.
there's really no motivation to get people genuinely healthy. One of my earliest experiences, going back a long way now, when I got sick and was trying to find my own solutions. This is how I came to do what I'm doing today. But I remember this was back in the Stone Age before the internet existed. So I remember taking myself down to the local library to find out everything I could to help myself get better. And I found a book about pharmaceutical companies. And in part of the book, there was a memo leaked from Pfizer which defined the perfect drug. And one of the criteria was create symptoms that are manageable by other drugs in our range.
Right.
That was my
Say no.
earliest
Say no
wake up.
more. Yes.
I want
Yeah.
people to get, I want people, I need to pay my bills, but I
Yes.
want people to get better as quickly as they can. And they are so happy that they send all their friends and family to me.
Of course. Yeah. No. Absolutely. And that that's how business. When you're doing business, if it's a personal recommendation and it's been helpful, I always think that's why a business thrives.
Well,
And
there'd
and
be
and
no
it's
point in
wholesome.
me advertising comfy or bioresonance anyway, because most people would be
Most
going,
people wouldn't
what
know what
the
it
actual
means.
bleep is that?
So now you've got a website. Let's put your website up. Let me just
Yeah, I
grab
do
it here.
offer, if people are not sure, I do offer a 15-minute free consultation that they can book online. And you can
So do they
book.
have to send a hair for that?
No, that's just to find out how if you've watched this video and you're interested, then book an appointment. The 15 minutes is really for people who are not sure how I work, want to know how much experience I have, check that I'm not like some kind of charlatan. So the 15 minutes is just exploring how I could help them and if they want to book in.
Right. Absolutely. You've got your
So
testimonials
yeah,
that
and you can book all of that online.
It's been absolutely fascinating, Helena. I've thoroughly enjoyed the conversation, and I've learnt so much.
Oh, we finished already. Wow.
I know it's nearly an hour.
I could talk about this stuff forever.
Yeah, and it is fascinating. I always try to leave people wanting more, as the old stage adage goes.
The things that come up in test results and the things that happen on the remedies, I just couldn't possibly invent, you know?
Right.
I think one of my favorite moments was many years ago now, an elderly gentleman came to me with multiple complaints. And one of the things, he couldn't move his little finger. And he said, because I would explore someone's health history in great depth before we even get to the testing.
Yes.
He told me that he'd stood on a weaver fish about 10 years previously on the south coast of England. So the weaver fish are these poisonous fish that hide under the sand. And if you step on one, they put poisonous spines up. So he told me the hospital had managed to remove most of the spines. So I tested a remedy on him for the expulsion of foreign objects, and it tested as being good. So I added it into his remedy, and he rang me about 4 days ago, and he said, Helena, a weaverfish spine had come out the corner of his finger.
After all that time?
And he had, I was amazed that it had got there without getting through his heart. And I was amazed that his body was able to kind of send it to a non-crucial area. And it came out, no blood, no pain. It just came out the corner edge of his finger.
That's incredible.
Amazing what happens. You know, you just can't make this stuff up. And I've been doing this a long time, but it still amazes me. Yes. Which is great because I've got a low boredom threshold. You can never quite predict exactly how somebody's being is going to work with a remedy, and it's amazing to hear how they get on. Often I'll finish a first consultation, I'll go, can't wait to find out how you get on that remedy, you know?
And you've not had patients where you've gone, I'm sorry, I can't help you.
I'm honest with people about what I think I can do and not. When somebody thinks they can keep drinking 2 bottles of wine every night and get better, we've got to have a conversation about that. Yeah. There has to come a time where you have to take responsibility for your health. And if you keep doing stuff that's making you sick, I can keep throwing remedies at you, but at the end of the day, we're not going anywhere. No. So I do tell a lot of information will come up to maybe tell very specific, damage from their technology, and blue light at night, pineal glands inflamed. So I would tell them, the more you take this advice, the less money you'll have to give me, the quicker we're going to get there.
Yeah.
So I have had conversations with people going, this is going nowhere, unless you meet me halfway here, but it doesn't always happen like that. A lot of people don't have to take any radical efforts in their lives to...
Right.
So everyone's an individual, and I treat everyone individually.
Let me ask you just finally then, because I try to keep this within the hour, but this might just go over a bit. What about children who have things like ADHD or autism and those sort of problems? Are you able to assist?
I love assisting with that. I love working very particular with young kids who now are moving towards a lifetime label.
Yes.
Setting them free from this label. I've had kids being kicked out of special school, sent back into normal school. And every single one of the parents was pro the early childhood intervention stuff at one point because they gave it to their kids. The only the reason that they're now anti is because they've seen the damage.
They've seen the results. So and again, the beauty is you haven't got to deal necessarily with the child who doesn't understand what's going on because you're just dealing with the hair sample.
And has quite a low attention span and maybe gets bored and upset. And I mean, I like to see and meet all my patients up through Zoom, but we don't have to stress out the child.
No, that is brilliant. Helena, I think that you are going to be inundated with inquiries. I hope you are.
Thank you. I'm very busy, but I have made space. I've blocked out space for people to get in touch. So.
Oh, that is amazing. It's been a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming on the show and sharing what you do. I think people will be overall absolutely amazed and rushing to contact you. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. How about that? That's been absolutely fascinating. I hope you've enjoyed it. I certainly have, and I've learned a lot. I will, of course, be back with more monologues and more wonderful guests. But until then, from Helena and myself, thank you for watching and goodbye.
Thank you.